Hi, how are you doing today? I'm here to talk about the movies that I watched in March. I actually didn't really watch that many movies in March. I only watched 6 movies this month, but I did get relatively sick for like the second half of the month, and I just did not feel like I could not pay attention to anything for like longer than 5 minutes. Like my brain was absolutely fried because I was so sick, so that also just like played into things. But I am quite excited to talk to you about what I watched. There's a lot of new releases in here, and I rewatched an old favorite, so let's just get into things, starting with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which came out in 2023, and I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. This is one I've been meaning to check out for quite some time because I've heard just so many great things about it ever since it was released, and I finally got around to watching it, and I really liked it. I'm not familiar that much with Dungeons and Dragons. I do know the game, I very basically but I don't know like a whole lot about it, so I don't know as how Dungeons and Dragons fans feel about it and how it works. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but it's just like a fantasy movie. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it, especially because this just was a fun, silly fantasy movie, and I feel like we don't really get a whole lot of those. I feel like a lot of fantasy movies that we get are like these big Lord of the Ring types epics, and I just like that this one just was allowed to be like silly and fun. Then next I watched Frankenstein, which came out in 2024, and I give 1 star to, and like believe me, it pains me to say that I wanted to love this movie so much. Like it looked so much fun and kind of like weird but like up my alley, and like nothing about it worked for me. The only compliment that I can give it is that visually it's stunning, like aesthetically it's stunning. It's just that everything else about this I hate it. Then next I watched Mean Girls, the new one from 2024, and I give it 2 stars. I'm gonna be like honest here, when this movie is good, it's really fucking good. Like this has some amazing moments in it, but overall I think my main problem with this movie is that it felt like it was made by someone who hates musicals, and it is a musical, so that's like an issue. I don't know, there were some really weird choices just like in generally made about this movie, just when it came to also just like story progression and like character development. I feel like a lot of that was cut out, and it just kind of felt like a Cliff Notes version of the original Mean Girls movie, which is like an occasional song thrown in. And next I finally watched Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, which came out in 2023, and I gave 5 stars too. It came to Disney Plus this month, which is how I watched it finally. And what do I need to say? This was amazing. Everything about this is just, it's so good, and I feel like the movie does a great job as well at just kind of like transporting you like you're actually in, like at capturing the content and kind of like the moments of everything. Then next I watched I Was Wish, which came out in 2024, and I give 2 stars too. This did not work for me. I'm sorry. There's just a lot of things about how this was executed that just gave me the ick, and honestly Netflix, Lindsay Lohan deserves better. Like it did have some moments that I liked. It's not horrible, it's definitely not the worst Netflix has to offer in this rom-com department, and I do understand why it would work for some people, but for me it just, I don't know, it did a lot of things that I just like couldn't vibe with. And then of course I also had to watch Mean Girls from 2004, the OG, which I give 5 stars to. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and sometimes I question that decision, and then I rewatch the movie and I'm like, no, it deserves to be there. It's just, everything about this is just perfection. There are some parts of it that of course are dated a little bit when it comes to like language, but overall like it's brilliant. And just watching this, I watched it a couple of days after I watched the new version, and it just is like, oh, it really was that bad. You know, it's not just my memory, it really is that bad. Like this is so much within its one time, and it does it so well. It doesn't waste a single second. And yeah, that is everything that I have for you today. It's a short one, I'm sorry, but I didn't watch that many movies this month, so I'm not gonna come here and like lie to you and like do a whole one video about it, because that's just not the case. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of these movies, if you watched them, and also just leave some movie recommendations down below, because I feel like I'm kind of in a rut with movies a little bit since I've been sick. Like I don't feel inspired to watch anything, so I'd love to kind of like hear some recommendations from you, some movies you loved so far this year. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? I should have played